So then understanding your value proposition, understanding and being able to articulate why they should hire you, because there's other people. I believe it was Cynthia yesterday that was saying she was just doing a simple Google search and saw how many people in her neighborhood was doing the same thing as her. Of course, there's going to be thousands of people right around you doing the same thing. However, they're not going to be doing it like you know? And so knowing what those things are that make you stand out, that's why I said when you can tell a story, when you can connect with your ideal client and put that in your marketing, it's going to help you get a seat in front of them before the other company can. Before the other people who doing the same thing you doing can, because all they have on their website is we care for people, but you have a story that they can connect with. You're going to be able, and it has nothing to do with how long you've been open or anything like that. I promise you. And a lot of times people feel because, oh, I just opened and I'm a new company, I'm not going to be able to get people. It has nothing to do with that. If you can tell your story, show them that you can connect with your ideal client, show them that you can provide what they need. That's why you need to know what their needs are so that you can address them. Show them that you care about them and not a sale. You're going to be able to get that client. They're not going to care you just opened. You could have just opened today. If you show them, when people ask me when I first opened, how long you been in business? I said, I've been in this field for 13 years. And something I noticed while I was in this field was that other people didn't care about developmentally disabled people being able to being shown independence, being able to be cared for outside of just making sure they have hygiene needs and things like that, being able to go to the places that matter to them, being able to carry out their hobbies. That when you tell your story, they connect with you. They don't care. They didn't go back to that question. Oh, you say you've been in the field 13 years, but how long you been open? No. They start asking me more questions about my program. So what would you say is your unique value proposition? You can think about it if you need to think about it. What makes you different? Developing your marketing strategy. So this is a huge one, and I would really spend some time on this. When you develop your marketing strategy, this is like what you're going to do to court or date your to court or date your ideal client, like specifically like what you're going to do, like detail from detail, like what I just said about the Facebook group, things like that, things you can do to get in front of your ideal client that's not the norm. Going to nursing homes. Instead of going to a nursing home trying to pass out brochures, they allow people to host things at nursing homes. That's a good thing to do. I would host instead of trying to think of yourself as a salesperson and going and passing out your cards. And I didn't even have, I don't think I, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't even have business cards. I made 3.5 million. I never had a business card. I have business cards now, of course. But when I did my agency, I didn't pass out business cards. But I promise you, when people came to my day program, when they came to learn about my home care, my transportation, 9 times out of 10, I got that client. And it's because I didn't think of marketing like I was a door-to-door salesman. I wanted to show my passion. And when I went to meetings, when I got in front of my ideal client, I already had this stuff figured out. I already had did my research and I already knew how I was going to get them into my program. So when you think about this different stuff, like what makes you stand out differently, you think about how you're going to use that to get in front of your client or the person that's attached to your client, the decision maker. How can you get in front of the decision maker or the gatekeeper? The gatekeeper is the person who has influence over the person who either makes a decision or over the person you want. How are you going to get in front of that person? What's some things you can do? And Facebook is a good resource for a lot of people. And instead of wasting your time, and a lot of people get burnt out and overwhelmed because they feel like their marketing efforts isn't working, but it's because one, you're not going in front of your ideal client, and secondly, when you get in front of your ideal client, you don't know what to say, and you have a broken system. You think you need a website and a brochure and business cards. So create a sales process. So, one, you're figuring out who your ideal client is. That's your dating profile, so to speak. And I say that to help you understand that don't have nothing to do with the person, that has everything to do with you and what you want, who your ideal client is, who you want to work with. So that's your dating profile. And then your client acquisition plan is how you're going to get in front of that person, how you're going to get in front of that person. And the sales process is a part of your client acquisition plan, because after you get in front of that person, you want them to become a client. So you need to have a process. You need to have, after you do all your homework of their pain points and their needs and all that, you need a process of how you're going to get these clients converted over into your program. So I'll give you an example. I knew, like I said, that my individuals wanted life skills at my program. I also knew that it was important to them that when they came to take their tour, that they will feel a part of the program. I knew that that was important, so I built it into my sales process. I scheduled them to come during the times that I knew we were doing activities. Every day I had a different subject. So Monday was money management day, Tuesday was cooking skills class, Wednesday we did computer skills, Wednesdays we did emotional communication. Thursday we did computer skills. Fridays we did field trips. I knew we were going to do that. I had a program that was dedicated to my ideal client. I also knew that these activities for each day was going to happen between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. So when people came to tour, guess what? I scheduled them between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. so that when they came, they saw us teaching life skills. Because I already told them that this is what this is what we did, and I already knew that they were my ideal client because I was only pitching to my ideal client. So I didn't have to wonder when they came for a tour what they was going to be looking for. I already knew. So I already knew to schedule them between 11 and 1. So guess what? They came between that time. I offered them a seat to join in on the activity. They already felt a part of the program because they were cooking, they were doing whatever we was doing that day. The teacher was talking to them. They were engaging them. I had their name. They already knew. I already told the teacher their name, who was coming. So they already had a seat for them. They may have wrote their name on whatever the activity was, things to get them involved. I was doing this on purpose. This was a part of my sales process. I already had this plan. But when they came and they saw Judith in front of the name tag, in front of the cooking, in front of her seat to cook, it felt good. She sat down, she felt a part of the program. So then she wanted to know, okay, when can I come back? She was already sold. So that's what you want to do. Once you figure out who your person is, that's why it makes no sense in the world to go after 1,000 different clients. You need an ideal client so that you can build all this out. If anybody was just coming and it was somebody who didn't need life skills, I would have had to figure out, okay, what I'm gonna tell this person, what I'm gonna do. They coming today. Oh, we gotta figure out, oh, let's all meet. We gotta figure out what we gonna do to get this person. No. Everybody who came was looking for life skills. So everybody who called, even if I wasn't there, another employee knew to schedule them between 11 and 1. This was my process. It had nothing to do with who was coming. This was my process. I already had it built out. And so a step further, anybody could have did my tour because I did the same thing every exact time. They came out between 11 and 1. When they came, they were offered to be a part of the activity. We built that all in. After they did the activity, I gave them the activity calendar, went over what we was going to do. which also sold them too, because if they were interested in field trips going out into the community, which was another one of their pain points, and they came to do the tour on Wednesday, and I had field trips on Friday, they wanted to come to the field trip because the community, going out into the community, was a part of their pain point. It was a part of something that meant something to them, something they wasn't able to do. So they were trying to hurry up and get their paperwork in by Friday so that they can go on the field trip. And guess what I have right waiting for them to sign right then? The paperwork to on board. So they could start. I had all this already done. That's why it matters knowing who your ideal client is to a T, knowing what they need, knowing what their pains are, knowing what makes them buy in, what makes them to determine, okay, I like your program, but do you have transportation? Because even though I like your program, there's no other way I can get here. I knew that they needed transportation 9 times out of 10. So guess what I offered them? Transportation. Already had it set up. I had multiple routes. I had a east side route, a west side route. I just had to plug them in. So think about what's something you can add to your sales process. And of course, you're not going to be able to do all this now, like build it out to the extent that it needs to be built out, because this is going to make the difference of if you get clients or not. This is why people are struggling. It has nothing to do with their website, their social media. I promise you. I promise you. This is the difference between those who are getting clients here and there and those who are on the track to 7 figures. This is the difference. This makes all the difference in the world. Everything that I've shared thus far all lead up to this. So I'm gonna use you, Michelle. So you shared that you're going to have well, I gave you the advice that you should hold something for the caregivers. So you would think about what would that process look like? Because if you're in front of your ideal client, you want to be able to make a sale right then. What could that look like? What could next steps look like from that moment? Without pitching. Like you don't want to get in front of them and be like, oh, I got this going on. You want to sign up for my program? You don't want to do it like that. You see how I said I had them a part of the day. They joined the activity and things like that so that they wanted to know, where do I sign up? So what's something you could do when you host your event for the caregivers?
Honestly, one of the things that I thought about doing was like just doing like a mocktail cocktail hour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like they can curate their own mocktails or cocktails just to kind of get them, you know,
Yeah.
and then that way, also have some with me being in nursing, I have a lot of nursing friends. So if they needed to bring their caregiver, their loved one in, we would have activities for them to do while they just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, relax. But I don't know if that's too much. I mean, that's just like stuff in my head that I'll be like, oh, I could do that. Or, just, yeah, that's where
I,
I'm at
I,
right now.
I think it's a good idea to have the person, the individual there too. I would think that through, where I would make it where you want the individual to come to. So something where you can have both of them, the decision maker and the person, will be huge so that you can get an answer right then. So no, you're not pitching, but you have this sales process already set up. So at the end of the night, if a decision was going to be made, you already ready to take it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody else? All right. Well, think on that. I'm telling you, you definitely want to think that through. You want to go back over the needs, the pain point. You want to know your ideal client. You want to know where they're gathering in large numbers, where they're gathering in large numbers. Or if they aren't gathering in large numbers, when I say large numbers, I'm talking about nursing homes, like you shared church, like that's where they're gathering in large numbers, where you can host an event and talk to a lot of them at once. And they, if a decision was going to be made, you're prepared to take them in. You know who your client is. You know you want somebody who has 15 hours and those sort of things. You already know that, so you're not dragging somebody along, but you know who you want and who you don't want. And you already know this before you get in front of them. So that if a decision is going to be made that night, you're ready to take them in. So think that through. And of course, the Facebook is going to have the homework assignment for you. I believe that's the name. Yeah. The Facebook group will have the homework assignment for you. If you need to go back through this, of course, the replay will be on there too. And I would encourage you to pause this and write it out. Write it out, because this definitely is going to make all the difference in the world. And if and when you get clients. So I appreciate you guys for joining.